Good morning and welcome to All Levels Yoga. 9 o'clock Saturday morning, June 13th. Coming at you live from the Hatha Yoga Center. I'm Chris and I'll be teaching for Ki today. She is off traveling. Good morning. So please feel free to let me know if you have any requests for practice today. I'm just going to sit for a moment. Hi, Sharon. Hi, Julia. I'm going to sit and breathe a little bit while I wait to see if anybody has any special needs for today. Outer hips. Yes. I did a very outer hip intensive class the other day. I don't know if you were there, Sharon, but let's take a moment to just kind of ground ourselves. And hi, Sherry. Sherry, I know what you need. You're back, right? And you just need some yoga. So find your seat for a moment and just take a couple of nice, balanced breaths. Neck and shoulders. All right. Sounds like we have plenty of stuff already. Outer hips, lower back, neck and shoulders. Hi, Lori. So take a couple of breaths. You could even close your eyes for a moment and let your shoulders slide down your back. Just letting your seat be heavy, finding your sit bones. So noticing if you're sitting more into one side or the other. And just taking a couple of conscious breaths here before we start to move. Breathing in and out through your nose. Relaxing your face. And as you inhale, let your belly relax a little bit and expand with the breath. And as you exhale, contract a bit within and grow up through the crown of the head. So if anybody was looking at you breathing, they wouldn't see you shrinking and lifting. They would see you sitting really still, but they might see your rib cage expanding and contracting. And maybe your belly moving a bit with the breath. So bringing yourself into this greater consciousness and awareness of your breath. You could also bring your hands together at your heart if you'd like, and bow your head, setting an intention for your practice today, if you'd like to. And then I think we'll come to the front of our mat if you're using a mat. Hi, Lori. Calves, yes. Psoas. All right. So finding your way, I need to move the camera up a little. Get it set. There we go. Have to remember to take my glasses and put them aside so I don't roll over on them and break them. So coming to the front of the mat, or if you're not using a mat, just finding your spot and spreading your toes, feeling your feet making contact with the floor. And then feeling the energy all the way up, lengthening up through the spine, through the crown of the head, grounding through your sacrum, lifting through your pubic bone and your sternum. So feeling this neutral alignment of your lower back. And take a breath here. And then let the arms rise up, lengthening up. So keeping this alignment of your spine, really grounding through sacrum, lifting your heart, reaching. Your hands can be shoulder width. Noticing how the weight of your body is distributed over the soles of the feet. And you might kind of even that out as well. Lifting through your arches, one more breath, lengthen up, exhale, come forward, hinging forward at the hip. Long neutral spine. So feeling the shoulder blades are staying on the back of the rib cage, your spine is lengthening, your neck is long. You could move your neck a little, move your head, but generally keeping that natural neutral curve in the neck. Just noticing the habits with our head to drop the head or hyperextend the neck. Maybe it's not hyperextending, but to extend the neck. Sometimes we just lift the chin. So just keeping this neck at ease. It's enough to hold the head up. You don't have to add extra stress. So just one more breath here. Beginning to come into your Ujjayi breathing. So you're maybe closing off the back of the throat just enough to be able to hear your breath. Stepping your left foot back. Bringing the weight back and up over the left knee so that you could even lift your right foot. And then letting the arms float up, reaching up. Finding your breath again, lifting your gaze. We'll just start with a slow sun salutation, which seems to be my general pattern. And then you could swing your arms back and clasp your hands at your sacrum and just gently stretch into the front of your shoulders, drawing the shoulder blades back and down, breathing. Watch for your head to go forward. I don't know why it has to do that. And then release the hands and step back to downward facing dog. So spread your hands on the mat. Feel your palms pressing in. You might get a little lift in the center of the palm, fingertips touching the floor, wrapping your shoulders and your elbows in so the shoulders can slide. You might bend into one knee and the other. Feeling into the calves and the ankles and the backs of the legs. I went on the silent march yesterday and I wore my rubber boots because it was raining. And it was great, but the fronts of my shins are kind of sore today, as well as my calves and my feet are a little sore. So from here, let's come forward with the head lifted into plank pose, our pose of the year in honor of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So keep lifting the navel towards the spine, keep the head lifted, hips are kind of centered in between the crown of the head and the heels. So not too high, not too low. One more breath there. And then maybe bringing the knees down or just coming all the way down to the floor with your elbows by your sides. Sweeping your arms back. Keep all 10 toes, the tops of your feet on the floor and roll up. Take a couple breaths there. Again, watching for the neck to start to gather tension. Just keep it long and soft. Could roll over onto your right side. Keep drawing your left shoulder blade down. Keep the head back. And breathe. So notice how the head wants to droop. You can always put something near you, like a block or a cushion, for head support if you need to, and then roll to your left side. Feeling that right shoulder blade sliding, long in your neck, and then rolling back onto the belly. You could lift your toes, just breathing, maybe keep the hands from resting, lift them up, and then release your hands, bring them underneath your shoulders, tuck the elbows in by your sides, bend your knees, tuck your toes and lift your hips. Good morning, MJ. And wrap your elbows in. Lift the tail. Feel length in your spine. And then let's step the left foot up and over the right foot, bringing the sole of your left foot to the floor, reaching through your left hand, lifting your hip. Breathing steadily. So kind of lengthening the waistline, drawing pelvis away from the rib cage. Stepping back through center, right foot over left. Keep wrapping the elbows in, press into the hands, stepping back through center. And then from here, take a breath. And then we'll step the left foot forward, bringing the right knee down. Coming into our low lunge. And the arms can come up. Just keeping your head balanced. So it's sometimes easy to see how the head moves forward. Just bring it back and up, balanced, so no strain in your neck. See if you can find the place where it's really easy to hold your head up. Feeling the rib cage expanding and contracting with the breath, all the way around. And then bring the arms back again, clasping hands at your sacrum, and lifting your heart. Releasing your hands, and stepping forward into your forward bend again. Long spine. Just feeling the heart rate come down a little when you're in your forward bend. You can lengthen your exhale to make that happen. If you get a little winded during your practice, just using your breath. I'm going to tell you, it's a lot harder to do the entire practice and talk through the whole thing. It's improving my cardiovascular health, I think. And then lift the arms up. And again, grounding through your sacrum, lifting through pubic bone, lifting all the way up through the heart, the crown of the head. Warming your body up. And exhale, bring the hands together at the heart. And just pause for a moment, and we'll go again. So reaching arms up. Exhale, come forward, long spine. Bend your knees as much as you need to, just slowly letting the backs of your legs warm up. Taking a breath here. And then let's step the right foot back. This time come into a low lunge. So keep your abdomen along your inner thigh. You might be on fingertips, lifting shoulders, lifting head, your tail. So long neutral spine, really strong in the right leg. So it's an energized pose. You're not just kind of dumping into it, lifting up. Feeling the strength of your legs, feeling your belly pressing into the thigh. One more breath there, and then let the knee come down, and let's stretch into the back of the calf a little bit. So you can allow the knee to come forward. Just if that causes pain in the knee, of course, then find a different way to do it, but this kind of allows for the stretch in the front of your right hip, as well as in the back of the calf. So keeping head and shoulders lifting and breathing into that back of your lower left leg, your ankle joint, Achilles, calf muscles. And then just bring your weight back up and step back to downward facing dog. Nice deep breath. Sometimes it feels good to inhale in through the nose and exhale all the air out through the mouth. You could sigh it out, or you could even do your own lion's breath, where you stick your tongue out and make some noise. And your cats and dogs and the rest of your family will really appreciate it, I'm sure. Every time I spread my mat out at home, my dog immediately comes over and gets right on the mat. I literally have to kick her off. Let's reach the right hand back for the left lower leg or ankle, if that feels good for your body. So stretching into the back of your right shoulder, really pressing into your left hand, wrapping that shoulder blade, wrapping that elbow in and sliding the shoulder blade. And then bring the right hand back, reaching back for your right lower leg with your left hand, breathing. So try not to let your right hip collapse. Draw it back. Press into your right hand, really strong in the right shoulder, and then release that hand, coming back to downward dog, and let's come forward into plank pose. And take a breath here, lifting navel, Lift your left foot, keeping your hips level. And then lift the right foot. Coming back to plank, and maybe coming through chaturanga, bending your elbows. You might come into this upward high cobra, or you can come to Sphinx with your forearms down on the floor. Either way, lifting up, opening the front of the chest, shoulders slide down your back, lifting your belly, breathing. And one more breath. If you're in this high version of cobra, just bend the elbows, come back down, bend your knees, tuck your toes, lift your tail. And just coming back to your downward dog. And maybe stepping left foot over right, and maybe putting the two together, or you can take either variation, whatever felt good for you, but you could reach back for your left ankle with your left hand, or even for the right if that's too much. And back to center, stepping right foot over left, maybe combining those two variations. Sometimes I have wardrobe malfunctions while I'm teaching. And then back to center. Maybe take a moment of letting your heels come to one side and bending your knees. And then over to the other side. Maybe back and forth, just feeling into the feet and the lower legs. Coming back to center, stepping your right foot to the front of the mat, so you're in a long, low lunge. Maybe fingertips on the floor, shoulders and head are lifted. Really strong in your left leg. Steady breath. Bob got it nice and warm in here ahead of time. So I'm going to be warmed up quickly today. Letting your left knee come down. Maybe bringing the right knee forward a bit to stretch into the back of your calf and your ankle. If that's problematic for your knee at all, just back it up. Just come into a regular lunge, but a little extra attention to the lower legs today for Lori. And then bringing your weight back and stepping forward into your forward bend. So really find your breath here. Even in your forward bend, letting the belly move with the breath. Tipping your tail, kind of feeling how you're standing over your feet. So a little attention to that. Spreading your toes, feeling the arches lifting, noticing if the weight is more back in the heels or forward into the balls of the feet. One more breath here, and then we'll swing the arms up. Reaching up. And breathing here. And then bring your hands together at your heart. And just pause for a moment. And then let's reach the arms up again and clasp your left wrist with your right hand. And just kind of pulling yourself into a side bend. So pressing into your left hip and lengthening up. You could look up. Even as you're pulling and reaching through, you can let your shoulders soften. You don't have to hunch them up. Keeping your hips square to the front and then coming to the other side. And just keeping the neck long, so find to look straight ahead. You look up, but try not to let the head drop. Puts a lot of strain on the neck over time. And then arms back up. And come forward again. Exhale. Take a breath. You might come up on your inhale, halfway. Maybe you can bow forward with your exhale. Just moving your upper body. Inhale up. Exhale, bow forward. Feeling how you can move your entire upper body in one plane. One more time up. Keeping the shoulder blades on your back. Exhale, bow forward. And then from here, let's step the left foot to the back of the mat with the back heel lifted, coming up into warrior one. Keeping your back knee bent so you can keep this alignment of your spine. Neutral alignment. Maybe dipping a little lower with your left knee, bending into the right knee, reaching. Then bring your hands together at your heart and take a twist. So that also could be with your left hand on the floor. Opening up, pressing strongly back through your left heel, turning it slightly in towards center and allowing your left leg to be strong and support the opening of your upper body. Breathing, you can look back. Release your hands. Step back to downward facing dog. Just take a breath there. You could reach real strongly through your right hand, wrap the elbow in, and then lift the left hand back maybe up to your sacrum. You could try lifting your right foot or just stay with you could stay with three-limbed or you could come to two-limbed dog. Breathing. Press through the heel, release your hand, and let your right leg come down. Just take a breath. Then pressing strongly into the left hand, wrapping elbow in, bring your right hand back to sacrum maybe. Maybe you're lifting the left leg, press up through the heel, draw your belly in, keeping your neck at ease. Breathing, release your hand, and let your foot come back down, and then let's drop to our knees. And find hands and knees and do a couple of cat-cow, round your spine, exhale, inhale, arching the back, inhale, exhale, rounding. A couple more times through like that. And then just walk your knees back, come into a prayer pose, bring your forehead down, traction in your back a little, decompressing in the lower back. You might be able to flip the hands and bring the backs of the hands to the floor. Feel how that broadens a little bit in the upper back. And then let's come back to downward facing dog. And then from here, we'll step the left foot forward, coming up into your warrior one, bending the right knee. So staying steady with your gaze and your breath. Keeping your nervous system from getting too upregulated. So use your exhale to help with that. And the Ujjayi breathing. Bringing the hands together at your heart, turning, bringing your elbow into your knee, coming into the twisted, revolved lunge. Real strong in the right leg, opening the shoulders. You can always bring the knee down if you're tired, or if you haven't done yoga for a while. One more breath, and then release your hands. And this time, let's just step back to down dog again. You can also exhale out through the mouth, inhale through the nose. Long exhale through the mouth. And from here, let's lengthen up through the right leg. So maybe coming onto the ball of your left foot. You could also open your hip, stack your hips, bend the knee, pressing strongly into both hands, stretching in the front of the belly. Probably feel it in your psoas, lengthening that leg up. And drawing that knee forward for pigeon. So starting in your upward pigeon, upward facing pigeon, a little bit of a back bend, and coming forward. If it hurts your knees, there's lots of other ways to go. You could bring your leg up onto the back of a chair or sofa or countertop and do a standing pigeon, or you could also come onto your back. I think most of you know the variations that are possible, but just reminding you if you have any pain in the knee or need to take a different approach. So staying with the discomfort, relaxing your hands and your face, breathing and letting your spine be long, just kind of feeling into that discomfort in the outer hip, sensation, whatever you want to call it. And then we'll take a twist. So you could just bring your forearm right across the front of your mat, reaching for your right knee with your left hand. Maybe the right hand comes back to sacrum. So really stacking your shoulder over your left elbow and lifting up. Just turning the spine and opening the chest, keeping the neck long. And then releasing that. And let's do one more. Let's bring the right hand by your your left hand by your right knee and reach back for the foot, so you're in a twist. So pulling your ankle into your hand to help you get some stretch in your shoulder there. And if that doesn't work, you can always just bring your hand down. Sometimes people can't reach for the foot, that's fine. Just another breath. And release that. And then let's tuck the toes. Try to move through this transition consciously. Step up, come back to downward dog. Move your hips a little bit side to side. And let's exhale into plank pose. Keep the head lifted and bring your left hand into the center of the mat and spin and come into side plank. So that could be with your knee down if you haven't done side plank for a while, or stacking the feet. Keeping the head back, you might bring the arm up and over, lifting the hips, and then bringing yourself back to plank, and bending elbows, coming into your little bit of a push-up and up into your cobra pose, or maybe down onto your forearms. Taking a couple breaths there. Keep your breath primary here. And then bending your knees, tucking your toes, lifting up, coming back to your downward dog. I'm just going to turn around. You don't need to do that. And then here we will lift the left leg up. Maybe come up onto the ball of the right foot. Really press into your hands, and then open the hip, bending the knee. And then straightening that leg back up and drawing the knee forward for pigeon. Again, maybe starting in your upward facing pigeon. It's a little bit of a back bend. And slowly making your way down, maybe to your forearms. Centering the pelvis. So finding the right spot for the pelvis. And keeping your neck from drooping. So even if you have to support it with a block or something, sometimes people will support it with hands in different ways. But focusing on keeping the neck neutral with the rest of the spine. And feeling your breath. Staying with it for a couple more breaths. mat, reach for your left knee with the right hand. Bringing the left hand back to the lower back. You can reach around for the foot if that's where you're headed. Not lifting your left hip in order to do that though. Stacking your right shoulder over the elbow and lifting up. Turning your upper body. Letting the head come back. Steady breath. And then releasing that and bringing right hand down by the left knee, reaching back for your left foot, right foot with your left hand. Kind of pulling the ankle into the hand so you get that stretch in the psoas on the right side. Lengthening up. Breathing. And then we'll release that foot. And again, you're going to tuck the toes and transition back to downward dog using the strength of your core to help you. And just moving a little bit. Coming back to something like symmetrical in your body. And then bringing yourself into plank pose. Bringing the right hand into the center of the mat and spinning into side plank. So lots of variations of side plank possible. If you're in this one, your hand is just a little bit in front of the shoulder, and you might bring your arm over, your left arm up and over, keeping your head back. Hips are stacked, lifted. Navel's drawing in, breathing. And then releasing, coming back to downward dog again. Just bringing the knees down. You could make your knees kind of wide and the hips back, coming into child's pose, so maybe bringing your hips back towards your heels. You can keep the arms forward or you could bring them back, bringing your forehead down. Take a few breaths. Just breathing into your back. Bringing your breath back to your resting breath, resting heart rate. Feeling the breath. And then let's come up and let's stretch our wrists real quick. Just turning your fingertips back and maybe bending the elbows a little bit, feeling into the palms, and the forearms, wrists, maybe side to side a little. Let it feel good. Keeping your spine long. And then turning your hands back, coming to hands and knees. And let's try a little bit of a push-up with the wrist. So you're going to lift just your wrist and the heel of your hand up and then bring it down. You can do it one hand at a time. So it's just keeping your back in this neutral position and lifting the heel of your hand. Keeping your shoulder blades on your back. Again, one at a time is totally fine. If it's too much body weight for both. Gymnasts do a ton of wrist prep, and there's a lot to learn from them. This is one little one I picked up. And then maybe just go side to side a little bit. And then we'll come back up, and we'll come into a wide-legged forward bend. So you could bring your toes forward and come into your forward bend. And then bend into one knee and the other. So finding the right place for your toes. If they're turned in a little more, you might feel a little more on the outer part of your lower leg. So letting your arms relax, your shoulders and elbows move. So let it be easy. And then we'll just come back to center. And we'll walk our hands over towards the right lower leg or ankle, letting your head relax. Keep drawing that left hip back. Feel where the weight is in the feet. Maybe tipping your tail up and bringing the weight into a more centered place over your feet. And then walking hands back through center and over to the left ankle or lower leg, foot. Release your head. You could rest your head on your arm, maybe. Draw your right hip back, tip the tail. And then release your hands. You could walk your hands forward so you're in a big, you're in downward dog with your legs really wide. So wrap your elbows in. You can always use a block too if you need to. The neck long. Notice what happens with your feet. Do they roll out or do you dump inward? Just straightening it out. Walk the hands back. Let's bring the right hand in between the line of your toes and bring your left hand back to sacrum, turning, opening your chest. You might even pick up your right hand and push into the left upper thigh. It's a little bit more challenging, I think, maybe. But it kind of gives you length in the spine. Bring some weight back into the hips. And then release that. Bringing the left hand into the center. Right hand comes back to sacrum. You're just turning the spine. And the head stays lifted and stays back. As you open your chest, maybe left hand to the right inner thigh, upper thigh, I should say. It helps you to open your chest and to stay long. And then release that. And again, bending into one knee and the other. You could turn your toes in a little and try to get that stretch. This is me projecting my needs, but it feels pretty good. It's hard to get into that outer part of your lower leg. And come to the other side. And then back to center. And let's walk your feet in a little closer so they're like maybe about hip width. And sit your seat back. You could bring your hands to your ankles. So dropping your tail. So keeping the tailbone lifting. Head and shoulders lifting, but your body's pretty much parallel with the floor, as are your thighs. Maybe reaching forward. So you're in this low squat. Push your knees out. So don't let them collapse in. Find the breath. Really lengthening back through your tail. Forward through your fingertips, or keep your arms down, your choice. Take 2 more breaths here. And then release and just let it go. You might work your feet apart again, and maybe you can reach behind your head and traction a little bit in your neck, if that feels good. Or you could also clasp the hands and stretch into the shoulders. Nice steady breath. And then let's make our way back up. You can bring your hands to your hips. And let's turn towards the front foot. So feet are hip width. It's coming into pyramid. So we'll bring the hands back. Clasp your hands at your sacrum. Really plant your feet on the floor and come forward. So keep drawing the right hip back. Left hip forward, long spine, keeping your head and shoulders from rounding forward. For more, you can lift the hands off the lower back. And then maybe releasing the hands. You might have a block, or you might be able to touch the floor, but only if you don't have to round. So keeping long spine. You can also bring hands onto your shin, or even onto your thigh, in order to keep that alignment. And taking a couple breaths here. Just breathing into the back of the right leg, calf, hamstrings. Sometimes it helps to bend the knee and then plant your foot and then draw your right hip back as you straighten your knee. It's intense. And then we'll twist it, so keeping your left fingertips on the floor or maybe on your lower leg, and opening your chest, coming into the twist, revolve triangle. Your thighs are drawing towards each other. And lifting belly, reaching the arm up, watching for the head to be drooping. So keep the neck long. And then release the hand and pause for a moment. Just take a breath. And then let's turn back towards the front of the mat and just bend into one knee and the other. Easing it out. And then we'll turn and we'll face the left foot. So stepping your feet hip width, keeping the hips square, reaching back, clasping hands. So really plant the feet, and then exhale, coming forward. You might lift the hands off the back a little bit. It's a little bit more work for the shoulders. Keeping your neck long, drawing the left hip back, right hip forward, pressing into your feet, feeling the strength in your legs and in your core, and then maybe releasing hands, breathing. Letting the breath be really complete. Inhale and exhale, noticing if the breath is compromised at all, and then backing it off a little bit. Like, what if you backed off 10%? What would happen? Like, maybe you come up a little higher, finding the place where you can keep your spine long, keep your free and deep breathing. And then we'll twist it. So drawing your left hip back, your inner thighs are drawing towards each other, at least energetically speaking. I don't know how much that's really actually happening, but that's the motion. It's where you're moving the energy. And then lifting your left hand. Again, you can always plant your left foot and bend the knee a little bit, and then draw the left hip back as you straighten the leg. Keeping the head lifted, breathing. You can look straight ahead, you can look down, but just keep the neck from dropping. And then release your hand and pause for a moment, resisting the urge to just exit the pose immediately. And then turn towards the front of your mat and bend into one knee and the other. Circling your shoulders, elbows. And coming back to center. And let's come up, all the way up, and do some horse pose breaths. So setting yourself up by, again, lifting through your pubic bone, grounding through your sacrum as you bend your knees. Your knees are angling out over your toes. So your upper body just comes down. And then we'll breathe. Inhale the arms up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale. Just working with your breath. Inhale. Keeping from pitching forward at all. You can exhale through your mouth if that's helpful. This will be 5, I believe. And let's do 5 more. Try to keep the shoulders somewhat soft. Head is balanced. Maybe sitting a little deeper. 2 more. Inhale the arms up. Exhale. And last one. And instead of quickly straightening your legs, hold it for a moment. Inhale up. Exhale, just hold the arms out briefly. Challenge yourself a little bit. And then come into your forward bend. So we kind of have this reactivity in our poses sometimes where we're like, okay, done, and we sort of drop out of the pose. So just playing with that. And then let's come into frog pose, so letting the knees be wide, bringing the feet together. And breathing there, letting the knees widen. Again, you might relax your hands, keeping your spine long. Just finding the place where you really feel the benefit of the stretch. Letting your breath be smooth, conscious. And then we'll come forward onto the belly and draw your legs together. You could just make little windshield wipers with your lower legs. And take a breath here, just relax your head. Breathe into your belly for a moment. Feeling your belly pressing into the floor as you inhale. It's a quick way to calm yourself down. Belly breathing, laying on your belly. And then from here, let's swing the arms back, clasping your hands at your sacrum. Lifting up, let's bring left leg on top of right. Squeezing knees together, reaching back through your toes and rolling up. So locust, stay here for another breath or two. And then we'll switch the cross of the legs, bringing right leg on top. Watch for the neck to get tense, just keep it long. And then release and rock your hips side to side. Some little lower back stuff here. Thinking about strengthening and supporting the low back. And then let's just draw the shoulders together. Bring your elbows, bend your elbows, and lift the legs up. And then you could just do a little tap your heels together, just slowly moving the legs together and apart. And then maybe like a little kick with the feet, a little flutter kick. Still breathing. And then pause, lift up. You could try, if it's safe for your back, to lengthen your arms forward, press through the palms. Neck is long, breathing. And then release, rocking your hips. You might let your feet go side to side. Circle them around. And then let's come up to hands and knees. Maybe do a cat-cow or two, just coming back to a neutral position with the spine. And then let's reach back through the right foot. Tuck your toes into the mat. Tuck the ball of the foot into the mat if you have a mat, or into the floor, and just maybe you're rocking a little bit back into the heel, feeling the stretch of the lower leg. Feels kind of good to rock. And then let that foot float up and back, pressing through the heel. Your toes are pointing straight down. Your sacrum stays level. Maybe reaching forward with the left arm. Thumb is up. You could lift the top of your left foot. Kind of cinching around your waist, drawing the belly in, still breathing. Reaching from your shoulder blade. And release that. And just make some circles with your hips. maybe in the opposite direction. Just let it be easy. And then we'll come back to center. And we'll reach back through the left foot. We'll tuck the ball of the foot into the floor and stretch into the back of the calf and the ankle joint. Still breathing. And then let that foot come up, press back through the heel, keeping the hips level, reaching forward with the right arm. You might lift the top of your right foot up just a tiny bit. Holding steady, breathing. Draw the navel up towards the spine, so drawing in a little bit in the center. And then release. And circle around with the hips. Make the circles big. Bring your hips all the way back, even towards the heels. And then coming back, come back to your hands and knees and try lifting your right leg, bringing the weight over towards the left, keeping the hips square. Try lifting your right arm so you're balancing over your left hand and knee. Use your core, not just your left shoulder and your hip there. And then release that. And then circle a little. And then we'll bring the weight over. We'll lift the left leg. Bring the weight over towards the right. Pressing back strongly through your heel, reaching forward with your left arm. So balancing on your right hand and your right knee. The more you do this, the easier it gets. So if you never do it, it's harder. And release. Circling again. And then for some more outer hip work, let's step your left knee over the right. Remember that you can set this up differently. You can straighten your left leg. I know some of you do that, and so we're coming into steer in any case, so this is one way to get there. You could also set yourself up with your left leg straight and stacking your knees if possible. You know, the more the knee is lifted, the easier that'll be on your hip. So finding your spot. And again, if we never do this pose, then it's pretty uncomfortable. So our bodies kind of let go of some of the mobility and the ability to do things if we don't do them. It doesn't mean we can't get it back, but at all, it just means it's going to be harder. Letting your body know and your mind know, nervous system know with the breath that you're okay. So if you're holding your breath, you're probably not okay. So back off and find a nice full breath to work from. If any forward action happens, it's with the breath. And always backing out if you're feeling like this is not the right pose for your body because it's hurting your knee or something's happening that's not desirable. And then we'll back it up. And maybe you can step your right foot to the floor. You could lift your right hip to begin with, and then slowly let it drop back towards the floor. That might be with your left leg straight still. And then we're going to twist, so I like to bring my hand underneath, just to keep my left shoulder from hiking up, bringing your right hand back and turning into your twist. Letting the breath be full here, so you can always back off like 10%, find your breath, and then move into the pose with your breath. So rather than making the shape with your body and then finding your breath, maybe find your breath first and then move into the shape. There's no glory in getting further, truly, especially if it means you're compromising yourself or harming yourself. And turning, and then maybe to come out, we'll just come forward, stepping yourself back to your hands and knees, quadruped, circling your hips. And then we'll step your right knee over, which will result in being on the other side, which also could mean that your right leg is straight. So setting yourself up, feeling your sit bones grounding. That might be enough right there. You might be able to slowly breathe yourself into a little bit of a forward bend. Sometimes nice to draw the thumbs into the hips like this and just kind of pin yourself down and feel that upper body all moving in one long plane. Again, watching for the forward motion of the head to try to bring you deeper into a pose. It's not necessary. It can be a habit, but really it's unnecessary. Couple more breaths. Just kind of breathing into the discomfort of it, or the sensation. And then coming back up and bringing this knee up, stepping into the left foot, and then maybe feeling your left sit bone coming back towards the floor. And then maybe reaching underneath your left leg, grounding your sit bones and turning into your twist. Opening your chest, turning your spine, so there's no forward motion with the head at all. Nice steady breath in your seated twist. If you have a strap at home, it might be a good time to get your strap out when you're done with this pose. And then turn to face the front of the room. Let's, so maybe with a strap, I'm just going to grab a strap, actually. Don't know. You might not need it, but having it handy. Let's unwrap your legs and bring yourself back into this seated twist again on the other side from what we just did. And then, actually not into the seated twist, into the, just into your seat with your right foot over. And then you might need your strap for this. So you could bring the strap around the ball of the foot and grab the strap in your left hand. You could also maybe reach for the foot, and then we'll take the twist with the leg straight. So again, you're sitting, your sit bones are grounded, and you're twisting in your upper body. You could keep your right hand lifted, opening the palm towards the front of the, I guess it would be towards the side of the room. So using your strap if you need it. If you're using your hand, reaching for the outer edge of your left foot. We do this standing sometimes. One more breath. And then bending the knee, turning back towards the front. And then we'll flip-flop our legs. So grounding yourself again, using your strap if you need it, otherwise taking your right hand around the outer edge of the left foot and lengthening forward, opening into the twist. So twist happens in the upper body. You can also reach, you could play with how you hold the foot. I like it with my hand on the outer edge. It does kind of cause the right shoulder to roll in, so kind of draw it back. Using the strap if you need it. Breathing, lengthening up through the crown of the head. One more breath, bending the knee, and coming back for a moment. Then go ahead and just straighten your legs out. And you can bring your hands back and just kind of let your feet go flopping back and forth, feeling how your femur bones are rolling around. And let's come back onto our backs. Keep your strap handy, we might use it again. So rolling down onto the back. And draw your knees in towards your chest, just rocking side to side. You can bring your feet down. Actually, let's stretch the back of the neck just by lifting the head up and drawing your elbows together. You don't have to come all the way into it. Just come to a point where you can breathe that feels good. Kind of stretches the back of the shoulders too. And then open your elbows and come back. And keeping your hands back there for a moment. Just feeling your elbows dropping towards the floor. Then you could bring your arms down by your sides and your feet up. Heels together. Actually, bring your arms out to the sides. Let's keep the inner feet together and just go side to side. So really slowly, you're moving with the control of your belly muscles and your lower back muscles, so it's not a momentum thing. You're just going tick-tock, side to side, keeping sacrum on the floor. Keep going. Maybe a little further, but still keeping sacrum planted. Engaging in your lower belly. And then just draw your knees in. And then again, arms out to the sides or down by your sides. Heels together, toes apart a little bit. Inhale your right heel towards the floor. Hover. Press your tailbone down and exhale back up. We'll go side to side to begin with. Inhale, left heel towards the floor. Press tailbone down. Exhale back up. Right leg down and back up. And then maybe you're going to switch now to both legs, heels together. So just a few times with both legs, or maybe you're still doing one leg at a time. And maybe the next time you bring your heels towards the floor, you could pause and hover, maybe just lifting the back of the head off the floor, lengthening your belly, still breathing, just barely lifting the head, and then release. And just rest for a moment. And you still have your strap handy. Actually, before we do that, let's do one bridge pose. So bring your heels in by your hips and roll up, one vertebrae at a time, all the way up. You might tuck one shoulder at a time underneath and clasp your hands, keeping the neck curve there. So untuck your chin. Breathing. Expanding the rib cage. You could look down and just notice if you're lifted evenly on both sides. Sometimes we dump into one side. Just another breath or two here. Release your arms and roll down slowly. And we're going to do around the world. So you might want to strap for this. And I am going to pick my mat up because it's going to get in the way. So you're going to come onto your back. You could start with your left knee bent. And your right leg straight, maybe with a strap underneath the ball of the foot. And so start there for a breath or two, finding your spine on the floor. So it's nice to have your back against the floor because it gives you information you don't get when you're standing. So you can feel your lower back and the little bit of curve underneath your lumbar spine, and then heaviness in the thoracic spine and the mid-back. And then there's this curve behind your neck. You might extend your left leg. So you can use the strap or you can just reach for your foot. It's nice to have the strap because it allows you to relax your shoulders. So breathing into the back of your right leg. I feel it more almost on the side of my leg. And if your leg is straight, if your left leg is straight, use that leg. Give it a little engagement. So it's not just flopping down there, but it's part of the pose. And then you might open your right foot out to the right side. You could extend your left arm for counterbalance. Opening up into this inner thigh stretch. If you're holding your foot, you could hold it from the inside or from the outer edge. Nice steady breath. And then we'll bring the foot back up. And then maybe reaching for the foot with your left hand, extending your right arm will come into this twist. Maybe the foot comes down to the floor. And you're still drawing this right hip down. And this might be enough, or perhaps some of you are going to come into a splits, in which case you're going to roll over and come up into splits, making sure that your hips stay square. So drawing the right hip back, and you're also lifting up. So kind of using gravity to get that lift. So not collapsing down. Wherever you are, either in the twist or in your splits, take a couple breaths. It's a pretty big back bend too, the splits. So making sure that's okay if you're moving in that direction. You can also stack blocks under your right thigh and under your left thigh. And then just coming out of it and coming back onto the back. This time we'll bend the right knee, and we'll start with that, and the left foot is up. Maybe with a strap or with your hands. Flexing your foot, you could extend your right leg. Feeling it in the calf and the back of the knee, and into the hamstring muscles. You might feel it in your hip. Draw that hip down on the left side. You can tuck your thumb in there. And then maybe reaching for your strap or the inner left foot, opening your leg out to the left side, reaching your right arm out for counterbalance, keeping your sacrum on the floor. Foot is flexed. Taking a couple breaths there. Strong in your right leg, helps to keep you down. Nice steady breath, and then bringing that foot back up, maybe reaching for the outer edge or with a strap, and coming over into the twist. Maybe the left arm comes out to the side. Breathing there, and of course you can stay there, or if you're coming into the splits, you're going to roll over and make your way into the splits, which is not my most graceful move, and drawing your left hip back. So squaring the hips, lengthening up, or staying in the twist. Relaxing the jaw. Shoulders are softening away from your ears wherever you are. And one more breath here. And then we'll exit the pose, hopefully more gracefully than I got into it. And let's come back onto the back again, drawing knees in. And just rocking a little bit side to side. And then maybe a little happy baby. So you can reach for either the inner or outer edges of your feet, maybe rocking side to side. And releasing that, and we'll just take for one last little outer hip stretch, take your right ankle on top of your left knee, reach back for your left thigh, pressing your right knee away with your elbow. You could rock side to side. And then maybe you can rock all the way over so the sole of your right foot comes to the floor. Maybe reaching for that ankle with your left hand. So this will be our final twist. So if you prefer this twist with a knee over, you can come into that, or you can stay in this variation. Some people like to reach their right hand for their left foot, bringing the heel towards the buttock, or you can just keep the knee bent. And maybe you're looking back over your right shoulder, kind of pressing your knee away, perhaps. Let your breath come back to its own comfortable, relaxed rhythm. And then coming back up, and we'll flip-flop and bring left ankle on top of right knee, maybe reaching through for the thread the needle, rocking side to side. Nice steady breath, relaxed breath. And then maybe you could bring your right hand to your left ankle and then come into that twist with the left arm out to the side. Or again, it's always fine to take the twist of your choice, which might be with just your left knee coming over to the right. So choosing your pose. Letting the breath be natural. And one more breath there, and then coming back and out of that, drawing knees in for one last breath. And then we'll just extend our legs out into corpse pose. Shavasana, bringing your arms down by your sides, palms facing open. Please take this moment to rest, to bring yourself back into your resting body. And allowing your body to surrender. So letting yourself be heavy and just feeling your natural, soft, relaxed breath. Feeling your shoulder blades against the floor, heavy, your head. Feeling the breath coming in and out through your nose. Feeling the effects of your practice today. And then you might begin to slowly move yourself back up to your seat to close, finding your long spine. So coming back to your seat, lengthening up through the crown of the head, letting your shoulders relax away from your ears. You could bring your hands together at your heart and you could pause to recall your intention if you set one. Taking a couple of breaths and bowing your head to your own practice, your own inner teacher, your higher self, or your higher power. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining in today and for all of your support during this time for the Hatha Yoga Center. I'll be teaching for Ki through Tuesday evening, and then she'll be back for Wednesday regular classes. Thank you.